are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Eagles fans, to a YouTube and Fox 43 exclusive edition of Locked On Eagles. I'm Louie DiBiase, host of your only daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Getting into today the news that former Eagles all-time great safety Malcolm Jenkins has announced his retirement from the NFL at age 34. Malcolm Jenkins was the leader of the Eagles defense and the leader of the football team, both on and off the field, for 6 incredible seasons from 2014 to 2019. An incredible career from Jenkins. Won 2 Super Bowls, one with the Saints when he was a rookie back in 2009, and then, of course, the key one in 2017 when he was the heartbeat of the Philadelphia Eagles. And you can say, yeah, Jason Kelce at center, Lane Johnson, Jason Peters, Carson Wentz, and Nick Foles, Zach Ertz, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Rodney McLeod. There were so many instrumental key pieces of that Super Bowl team that were leaders both on and off the field as veterans, all-time greats, guys that might have their jerseys up in the rafters of Lincoln Financial Field one day. But to me, nobody held that team together. And not just in 2017, but from 2014 to 2019, like Malcolm Jenkins did. The impact he had in Philadelphia, both on and off the field in those 6 seasons, are incredible and should never be forgotten. You would not have been able to win a Super Bowl without Malcolm Jenkins. It starts with number 27 on defense. The amount of hats that he wore on that defense, they haven't been able to replace him since. What have we been saying on this show for years now? What has Gino Camilleri, my co-host, been dying for, begging this team to select a Swiss Army knife safety like Malcolm Jenkins, who could not only play deep safety and roam the field in cover 1, cover 3, cover 2, play in the box as a run stopper, shadow tight ends, and running backs like James White in the Super Bowl, top tier tight ends as well. Like back in the day, Jimmy Graham, Rob Gronkowski, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, those type of players that are Swiss Army knives on offense. Malcolm Jenkins was the antidote to that on the defensive side of the football. A former corner as well, considering all the bad luck the Eagles had and bad cornerback play they had throughout Jenkins' tenure. He really made up for the losses and just the lack of talent they had in the secondary, especially at the cornerback position. It has been something they have not been able to replace since 2019 is Malcolm Jenkins and his you can't put a price tag on what he meant to the Eagles in those 6 seasons. And again, there was a lot of bad cornerback play over the years. And, you can say that the Brandin Cooks play in Super Bowl 52, taking out Patriots wide receiver Brandin Cooks in Super Bowl 52, is the most memorable moment of Jenkins' career with Philadelphia. And I would probably agree, without Jenkins taking out Cooks, do the Eagles win that championship? Cooks was destroying the Eagles secondary. He was tearing apart Ronald Darby, Jalen Mills, Patrick Robinson. They didn't have an answer. Jenkins' answer, when Cooks turned back upfield, I'll never forget that hit. One of the hardest hits I've ever seen live. Haven't seen anything close to it since. And he took Cooks out of that game. Not that you ever want to root for an injury from a player, but Jenkins making that play, I think, was instrumental in the Eagles winning a Super Bowl. But again, to go back to the bad cornerback play that Jenkins really covered up, I go back to another memorable moment the year after the Super Bowl, 2018. And this again shows to me the leadership of Jenkins and just how he was the glue of that team. The Eagles are coming off their worst loss of the Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz era in New Orleans against the Saints. Sean Payton and Drew Brees blow that team out of the water. And actually at the end, in garbage time, Sean Payton dials up a wheel route down the field to Alvin Kamara. Malcolm Jenkins is in coverage. Kamara catches the touchdown, and Jenkins actually flipped off Sean Payton. They're coming off that loss. They're 4-6. It looks like they're going to miss the playoffs. People are talking about how the Super Bowl might have been a fluke. Carson Wentz might have been a fluke. They're playing the Giants at Lincoln Financial Field the following week. They're down by 2 scores, Eli Manning and the Giants are driving down the field again in Eagles territory with the half about to expire. And Malcolm Jenkins makes an interception that saved the season. And I'll never forget that play in that game because, yeah, again, the Cooks hit, the pick six against Tom Brady in 2015. There's so many different moments that you can remember from Jenkins, the forced fumble touchdown in 2019 against the Giants to clinch the NFC East. There's a lot of memorable moments from an all-time Eagles legend. But that game, to me, just represented what Jenkins meant to this team. Like, he was the glue. When things got bad, he was the guy they could always go to. He was the Iron Man they could always rely on, because in that game, their cornerbacks were Devontae Bosby and Shandon Sullivan. And that happened a lot throughout Jenkins' time in Philadelphia, not just because the Eagles didn't at times have talent at cornerback and other positions, but we saw the catastrophic, historic amount of injuries the Eagles had from 2017 to 2019. We have never seen anything like it. I don't know if we'll ever see something like that again, what the Eagles had to overcome from a health standpoint. But one person that was always there when everything else was going wrong at corner and linebacker and injuries on the defensive line to quarterback, every position, heck, even safety, Rodney McLeod went down multiple years in a row. The one guy you knew, the guy that has led his team on defense and snaps in every year since 2014, Malcolm Jenkins. Check out this tweet from Jeff Kerr, my good friend over at CBS Sports. He said in 6 years with the Eagles, Malcolm Jenkins missed just 91 defensive snaps, 91 over a 6-season span. He played with the Eagles in 98.6% of the snaps, including a streak of 2,651 snaps that ended in 2020. 6,407 out of 6,498 snaps. Also played all 411 postseason snaps, a total of 98.68% of defensive snaps. That was Malcolm Jenkins. He was Iron Man. When you had every other key piece go down at some point, you could turn to Malcolm Jenkins to be a cornerback, to be a linebacker, to be a deep safety, to be your leader when things were seeming like they were just too much to overcome. The Eagles have overcome some insane obstacles to make the playoffs in 4 of the last 5 years with these late season runs. And I think without Malcolm Jenkins, none of that happens. Without Malcolm Jenkins, there is no Super Bowl 2017 banner in Lincoln Financial Field. There is no statue of Nick Foles and Doug Peterson outside of the stadium. Malcolm Jenkins is a player that I've compared to the Eagles situation now over and over again over the last 2 years, because he's an invaluable player that you desperately need on defense, especially in the modern day. And they have not been able to replace him, and they need to find somebody like Jenkins. Kind of like after they lost Brian Dawkins. It took years. Quentin Michael and Macho Harris and Nate Allen, Kurt Coleman, Patrick Chung. It took years to replace Dawkins to the level that Malcolm Jenkins did. And I don't think he'll ever be seen the same as Dawkins. I don't know if anybody in Eagles history will, not even Nick Foles, nobody. But I think Malcolm Jenkins, when you talk about the greatest Eagles of all time, you have to mention Jenkins with the other legends on that Super Bowl team. When you mention Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham and Jason Peters and Nick Foles, Zach Ertz, Malcolm Jenkins is right there. I don't know if they'll ever retire his number. I don't know if it'll get that far. I believe actually they've already given out 27. I'm not sure if that's the case. Oh yeah, it does. Zach McPherson. So they're not going to retire Jenkins' number, but that doesn't matter to me. He is one of the greatest Eagles of all time, and it was an incredible career. Even the last 2 years with the New Orleans Saints, he was a player that the Saints relied on a ton. Again, he led the Saints in defensive snaps the last 2 years, even with another star safety on that defense in Marcus Williams. Jenkins was always the glue. And just to see the role model he was off the field as well, in social justice, there was just so much to admire about this player. Versatility, character, speed, just power, hard hitting. Ask Brandin Cooks. I don't know if Cooks ever left that field after that hit in Super Bowl 52. Congratulations to an Eagles legend, Malcolm Jenkins, on a historic career. 34 years old. He is hanging it up. And again, Eagles history would not be the same. The story of the Philadelphia Eagles could not be told without Malcolm Jenkins. I'm Louie DiBiase signing off. Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of Locked On Eagles. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your shows. Check us out in video form as well on youtube.com and fox43.com as well. Hit us up on Twitter at LockedOnBirds and at DiBiase LOE. As always, thank you for downloading, thank you for watching, and let's go Birds.